lots of talk about legal systems recently, partly because in Israel there's a legal overhaul, judicial overhaul going on that's sort of tearing at the fabric of the country. Here in the U.S., not far from here, Mr. Trump just left his home in Bedminster to go to an arraignment, and along the way is questioned really the basis of how the judicial system in the U.S. works. I'm not going to go into everything on this. I'm certainly not going to talk about former Trump attorney Rudy Giuliani's comments on Jews. We'll leave those to the side. What I do want to do is look at, in the book of Deuteronomy, it speaks a lot about how are we supposed to set up a legal system, a court system. There's lots in Deuteronomy on court systems. And before it all, we get this bit this week in Parshat Ekev about how God stands at the head of that system and what values we're supposed to imitate from God. And it begins by saying, Ki Adonai Elohim Elohechem Hu Elohei Elohim Adonai Adonim Ha'el HaGadol Yivor V'Hanora. God is the Lord of lords and the God of all gods, great, mighty, and awesome. Asher lo yisa panim, does not show favor, lo yikach shochad, does not take bribes. Oseh mishpat yatom va'amada, and will do justice for the orphan and the widow, ohev ger, and loves the stranger, the one who is not like you. And you too shall love the stranger, because you were strangers in the land of Egypt. Note that next to the statement of power is the statement of care for those who are vulnerable. Rashi notes this, right? He says, Etzel Gvurato, right next to the statement of God's power, all of this might, is that God cares for those who lack power themselves. And then we, of course, it's turned to us. We, Israel, are supposed to do the same. There's this. God uses power, Deuteronomy tells us, to defend those who lack it. And we are supposed to do the same. This informs how we see issues of justice. It's not based on whether or not it's people we like. It's not based on whether or not it's our political side. It's not based on what we think is best for a society as a whole in terms of if this team wins or if that team wins. It is, are we able to use power to try and equalize things for those who have less power? That, it tells us, is what God does. When people have less power in a society, God, with all of God's might, will stand up for them. This is what we're supposed to imitate. Doesn't mean equality of outcomes. It means that God seems to be giving equality of opportunity. This is what we find in Parshat Ekev, and it is how we're supposed to assess a lot of what's going on in our world today. Shabbat Shalom.